The Nintendo Switch 2 might be the perfect storm of well-timed and planned preparation for a system, in addition to a massive lineup of games that are coming that are going to push this system to new heights that we've never before seen for a launch of a video game console, at least in the modern era. Some analysts have this as potentially the biggest launch ever for a video game system, and we're going to talk about that in addition to some big filings that show that Nintendo is not playing around when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2 and what they could be offering. But let's go ahead and jump right into this first, starting off with the Nintendo Switch 2 could be the biggest launch in video game history. And we talked about this before a little bit, but I wanted to go over the reasons why. Now, there was an analyst briefing where a number of analysts talked to Bloomberg recently, but I wanted to kind of detail this a bit more and give my insight on why this is happening. And I discussed this on my recent live stream as well, but why could this be the biggest video game launch of all time? Well, there's a number of reasons, starting out with one, the stockpile of units. I think that Nintendo is stockpiling a crazy amount of Nintendo Switch 2 units that it seems like they're already starting to ship out. I did do a video as well recently where I talked about how there was a shipping manufacturing log from Vietnam that somebody from the Family Boards, LIC, who's reliable with information, actually was able to detail. So they've already started shipping about 400,000 plus units to the US market, and things are starting to line up with the Nintendo store in San Francisco, with some other things that are happening in May, could be maybe June. So it looks like Nintendo is gearing up for the final stretch here as we head into the Nintendo Switch 2 April 2nd Nintendo Direct. But this could be the biggest launch, once again, because of those stockpiling of units. The second thing here is that we have no chip shortage. People always talk about, hey, look at what happened with the Xbox Series, or look what happened with the PlayStation 5. Well, that was in COVID time period and a chip shortage where everyone was hurting when it comes to the tech industry for those chips. So that is a big problem. That is not the case 5 years later now. At this point, there obviously is no massive shutdown and all the stuff that happened with COVID, and we also have no chip shortage whatsoever. So Nintendo, since they, I would say, extended the life of the Nintendo Switch 1 further than what anybody maybe could have even thought a number of years ago, they've been able to build up their stock, build up their manufacturing, build up their parts, and make sure everything is going to be set. So the fact that Nintendo has waited this long overall, and that there is no chip shortage, there is no massive pandemic that is happening, that gives investors, that gives everyone a lot of confidence that they're going to have a lot of units ready to go. Now, the next thing here is obviously incredibly important, and that is the anticipation from the previous system. I think that we haven't really seen anything like this in the modern day with the hype and continuation. The only thing that you can really point to would be maybe the PlayStation 1 to the PlayStation 2. PlayStation 1 was the first system ever to sell 100 million units plus. That was unheard of at the time. It was crazy, and the hype and anticipation for the PlayStation 2 was so peak. It was crazy. You had to be there if you had the money. I didn't have the money at the time back in 2025 years ago, but if you had the money, you just had to be there, and it was fantastic for that. But there was some shortages with shipping. Obviously, the, I would say, marketing plan and what you can do is a bit limited compared to now with social media and stuff. So things were definitely different. This is probably the modern day of that, because you have a system that's, I would say, not unheard of, but one of 3 systems to ever sell 150 million units plus, and the only system in the last decade or so to do it, and the last one was the Nintendo DS, but anything that's been considered a home console has not done it at all. Nintendo Switch is a hybrid, home console and portable, but we've never seen a home console since the PlayStation 2 days, since the PS2. So nothing in the modern era ever sell anywhere close to what the Nintendo Switch has done. So that anticipation to me is very similar from the PS1 to the PlayStation 2. With the Nintendo Switch, you have this huge base of people in a very long time. You've never had this much console sales in this short amount of time. In 8 years, sell 150 million units plus, and honestly could ultimately end up becoming the best selling system of all time, as the PlayStation 2 is at 160 million, and the Nintendo Switch 1 is probably over 152 million plus or so at this point. So it's getting near that amount, and they haven't even done any major discounts or anything. But regardless of that, the fact that you have a system that's done this well in the modern day, first time in a decade plus from the Nintendo DS, absolutely, this is going to be anticipated. People are looking forward to it. Another thing that we cannot overlook is the launch of Mario Kart. This is one of the best-selling games of all time. If Nintendo has that game ready for launch, which it is predicted that they will have that game as a launch title, the first time in a decade plus that there's been a brand new Mario Kart game, a title that has sold over 70 million units combined with Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U and the Nintendo Switch, with the majority of those being on the Nintendo Switch and new users. That is huge for the momentum of a system and a system launching. And there could also potentially be a new 3D Mario game, the first one in 8 years when it comes to big new 3D Mario titles. That is going to be a knockout 1-2 punch that's going to really hype up people and get them excited to buy the Nintendo Switch 2 on top of other big games as well. It's not just going to be Mario. There's going to be other titles that are rumored. Obviously, you have games like Pokemon Legends ZA and Metroid Prime 4, which are Switch 1 titles, but will be available to play backwards compatible on the Nintendo Switch 2 or even be enhanced for the Nintendo Switch 2. So there is a lot of large titles and big system sellers that are primed to come out the launch year of the Nintendo Switch 2 that's getting people hyped up to pre-order and get this system. Nintendo's franchises are more popular than they've ever been overall. So all of these factors are the reason why I do think this will be the biggest system launch ever in the history of the industry overall. I do think that it will be that. Now, I'm not exactly sure which one was before. I know the PS2 was pretty big. The Wii was also a pretty big launch as well. The PS5, for what they could do, was a pretty big launch too. I know there's been some pretty good launches over the years, but there's always been a little bit of, we don't know how much it's going to sell. That's the funny thing with Nintendo, is that every time that they have a big launch of a system, the previous system might have done not so good. So like with the Wii, right, that was a 100 million selling system, but with the GameCube, that didn't do so well. So Nintendo didn't have a bazillion units ready to go at launch. They didn't know. Even if you look at the Nintendo Switch, that was coming off of the Wii U. The Wii U clearly did not sell very well, so Nintendo didn't exactly know how well the Switch would do. They had 2 million units or so ready, and obviously that was not enough. But with the Nintendo Switch, all of the stars have aligned for it to be an incredible, massive launch, and I do think that this is going to be huge for the industry and of course for gamers out there. There's a little bit of a lack of excitement when it comes down to it. Even when you get big games, it's cool, but there's been something missing with the presentations that Nintendo does, with the games that are coming out, even in the late life of the Nintendo Switch 1, with stuff like Tears of the Kingdom and Super Mario Bros. Wonder and Pikmin 4. They still had these incredible experiences that were super fun on aging hardware. Now you have an update here that's going to get us better quality. You're going to have newer features, and you're going to have the excitement back of Nintendo's big games and directs. It's going to be a shot in the arm that the industry absolutely needs at this point. And of course, that can take us all the way to Grand Theft Auto as well. We've got some other big games coming out. So it's just exciting overall for everyone in the industry here. But what do you guys think about this when it comes to the biggest launch of all time for gaming? I do think that it's going to happen. Nintendo's stockpiling those units, and apparently they're going to be shipping a lot more overall. Let me know in the comment section, but also let me know if you can hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed to the channel yet. I'd really appreciate it. For those who are not subscribed, if you can subscribe, that would be awesome. Also hit that like button and click that notification bell to get my vids as soon as they drop. Now let's go ahead and jump into the next topic here, and this is going to be a big thing to see how Nintendo handles this. So a new FCC filing hints at Nintendo Switch 2 GameCube controllers. So Nintendo fans have been poring over the new FCC filing that gives us some hope about a GameCube controller for the Nintendo Switch 2. The listing did go live recently. Nintendo Everything adds, there's not much in the way of useful information, but the key relies in images associated with the listing. Now this image may seem pretty whatever, like what is this? But fans have quickly noticed that the unusual label position on the lower left of the rear of the device, overlaying that with the back of a wired game controller, shows that it's pretty close match with the label position of the back of the C-stick. Additionally, it looks to use the Nintendo Switch 2 model number prefix BEE instead of the Switch 1 prefix HAC. The controller would likely be a wireless Bluetooth controller. Now, while some might think that the FCC document could be a Pro controller, it seems like that's not the case. Among other things, it does not appear to have NFC functionality. Note that this does not automatically confirm certain things such as GameCube games on the Nintendo Switch Online 2. Also, it's possible that the controller could just be used for the Nintendo Switch 1, but that's on the speculative side of things. Something else found in the recent filings is what appears to be NFC and Wi-Fi 6 support for the Nintendo Switch 2, which I did cover in a video on the channel. So yeah, GameCube would be great for the Nintendo Switch 2, but what type of GameCube are we talking about here? NSO, GameCube, if it's a wireless controller, NSO, GameCube would be great. It would be great if they also did reprints of the wired GameCube controller for probably the next Super Smash Bros. Game. That would be really good, but Nintendo has been doing these patents or these filings or whatever for these controllers, and then the systems come to NSO. We saw this like with the Super Nintendo, we saw this with the N64, we saw this like with the Genesis controller, and everything that they've done so far. So GameCube on NSO or GameCube being advertised for the Nintendo Switch 2, or even just anything going forward, if they say, hey, we're also going to have GameCube games, that would be a massive boost for just a hardcore Nintendo fan out there that's been looking forward to this, because it'd be the most modern way, at least without weird things or doing stuff on PC, to maybe if we got like Mario Kart Double Dash, or if we got different games, to play GameCube titles online with your friends. That would be huge. I think that'd be one of the best announcements. GameCube games are still some of the most well-engineered and crafted games. GameCube games would be fantastic to have on this service, and I cannot wait to see what Nintendo does with it. I think they'll probably add a tier and probably add some price to that, because GameCube would definitely be more pricey to bring over. But once again, we're gonna have to wait and see exactly how Nintendo handles this. And of course, this could be also for Super Smash Bros. I do think that Masahiro Sakurai is working on a new Super Smash Bros. Game, and I am a old school GameCube guy overall. I use the GameCube controller for Super Smash Bros. I haven't used another controller for Smash ever. So when it comes down to it, in terms of my main controller, I gotta have me a GameCube controller. So definitely this would be good for that. But I like the wired controllers, so I'll probably just use my wired adapter that I have here, my GameCube controller that I bought in the Super Smash Bros. For Wii U era. So yeah, good stuff overall. What do you guys think about this? Would this be huge for you? Let me know in the comment section below. But next up, we're going to talk about a game that returns to the top of the eShop charts in about a year and some odd months, and that is Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Yo, let's go. People were kind of wondering about how this game would do when it comes to 2D Mario games compared to the huge new Super Mario Bros. Series, but I think that it's a resounding fantastic at this point. Nintendo revealed the sales were over 15 million units, and that total continues to go up with the Mario Day sale, because Super Mario Bros. Wonder is back at the #1 spot, and people are going to continue discovering this game and playing it. This is going to be a long-term seller, and I don't know if they're going to do a Super Mario Bros. Wonder 2. This just might be a one-off, and they'll try something completely different. So I do think that this could be a unique game that just sells, not only for the end of the life of the Nintendo Switch 1, but also into the Nintendo Switch 2 era. It already runs like at 1080p, 60 frames per second. It already runs and looks fantastic, looks super clean playing portable mode or on the TV. This is the only modern 2D Mario game that I've 100%ed. A lot of the new Super Mario Bros. Games and Mario Maker, I didn't 100% those. I didn't even try to 100% them because they just weren't fun enough for me, at least. They were good, but just not fun enough for me. But Wonder, it just kept me going and kept me going. And I think this is the reason why it's the top game when it comes to the eShop. People just need a little bit of a nudge when it comes to Mario Day and some promotion and marketing, and of course a little bit of a sale, and you got Super Mario Bros. Wonder all the way back at the top here. So definitely very good to see Mario Bros. Wonder be at the top, and I love this game. I can't wait to see what the 2D Mario team does next. Some people say maybe Wonder 2, maybe not. We'll see overall. But last up, guys, I do want to give you guys a little bit of a warning out there. The Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition ROM has leaked online, so be careful. The full ROM is out there, and there's new content. Yes, this game is old, and spoilers have maybe already been out there for the previous game on the Wii U, but there's a bunch of new content when it comes to the story. So if you want to go into that blind and you don't want to see the spoilers for that, just be careful, because the ROM has leaked. I have also had people come to the stream saying, oh yeah, their mom and pop shop sold them a game. No, it didn't. Your mom and pop shop didn't sell you a game early. They don't have it. People are just downloading it online. So it's one of those things. Just be careful, guys. Watch out. There are spoilers that are floating around there for like the story content, the extra stuff that wasn't in the Wii U version in terms of new story content and names. So just be careful if you want to go into that blind. And one thing that I will say, Nintendo needs to shore up that stuff for the Switch too. They can't be having all this stuff where things are leaking and people are easily playing this stuff on various different devices. Like, I don't care if people do it, that's fine, that's whatever. But Nintendo, they're the ones who have to shore this up so we don't have all these spoilers and leaks and issues before the game's launch. And this has happened all generation, which is annoying for a lot of the fans. So hopefully they share that up with the Switch 2. Can't really bank on it. Nintendo's never been able to really handle it overall when it comes to it. It's been happening for a while now, but we'll see what they do. But what do you guys think about everything that we discussed here? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch RPG videos and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.